I often talk a lot on this channel about what I call political pessimism. And this is basically the attitude that politics and politicians in general are useless. And I know it's an easy path to fall down, especially when you've got the current conservative, administration. It really has been a complete and absolute shower. But one thing we have to be expressly careful of is that people do not lose faith in politics, because this can have some very, very bad outcomes. Now, I've already said numerous times, when you look at local elections, just as with the upcoming May local elections, we will see very, very bad turnouts. The highest you will probably see for a local election will probably be about 20 to 25%. And if it hits something like 30, well, that's amazing. And that's local elections. And I always do make a point every time we talk about this. Local elections are just as important as national elections. And it says a lot when you look at the voting numbers of who can win in local elections based on such a small turnout. You are literally talking about a couple of hundreds, where you go up to a general election and that's where you see the turnout a lot bigger. Of course, falling as well, which is again another worry. That's that's where you see the turnout a lot bigger. That's where you seem to see the voting numbers sort of more in their thousands. But again, it's something we have to worry about, because if this sets in, then voting decreases. And if we do not pay attention to these types of issues, to this amount of pessimism, then this is where trouble can set in. This is where you get core voting blocks, as we've seen from the Tories, to just walk in at any general election, win on very, very low numbers on like the turnout of the vote, as we've seen. The Tories really, under their past, couple elections, have only really won about 34% of the vote. But because they turn out and vote, they get big majorities in Parliament. And this is why I always make a point to people. Doesn't matter what you think of the political opposition, be it Labour, Lib Dem, etc. Make sure you go out and vote at the next general election, because if you want to beat the Tories, you've got to get out there and vote. Tactical voting likely come into play at the next election as well. So make sure at the next election you get out and vote. It will be incredibly important. And even more important, if you really want to give the Tories a black eye, get out and vote at the May local elections if you can. There is still time, I believe, to register to vote, although I think you might have missed the cutoff date for in-person voting, but I think the mail-in ones are ballot voting is still open, I believe. But again, go to your local authority, look at their guidance, what it says, get registered to vote, and you know what? Go out at the local elections and give the Tories a complete black eye. Because here's the thing, at a local election, you don't have to rely on that two-party dynamism, because there may be not only just, of course, the Tories, Labour, and the Lib Dems standing. You've got the Green Party potentially standing. You've got things in Yorkshire like the Yorkshire Party that will stand. There will be independents who will stand as well. So you've got at a local election far, far more choices than you would certainly at a general election. But there was a poll recently, of course, the big barometer that sort of numbers this. And it did note the increasing pessimism and distrust of government and disdain for politicians. And I understand, but that but that pessimism and distrust of government does unfortunately lead to bad outcomes. But one of the interesting things here is that 3/4 of people, over 75%, said They wanted a new political party to challenge the Conservatives and Labour for power. Now, we've said before, under our political system of first past the post, new parties find it incredibly hard to get any traction. Incredibly hard. So, what do you have to do? Well, it's the same message we say every single time. If you really want to change the political system, if you want to give it a massive change, then we have to change from first past the post to proportional representation. If you want serious political change, if you are fed up of this, go join Labour. I kid you not. Go join Labour, pay attention, and whenever the opportunity brings up for votes for people in the party to to get proportional representation done, put it in. We had the conference last year of voting for proportional representation, and it passed. That now should happen every single year at the conference until Labour start to listen. Get talking to your local MPs, get them on board. If you are looking at selections, make sure you are voting and selecting the MP who is for switching over to proportional representation. Make this a big issue. And I think this should become a big issue. This big political change that would be brought by PR would be huge. And yet we see here that people want a new party to challenge like the Conservatives and Labour. Yet the only way you could actually get that party or parties would be through PR. Because I'll tell you now, new parties in our current political system, unless they have massive multi-million pounds backing, as we saw from UKIP, they ain't going to go anywhere. Because look what happened. Farage, champions UKIP as this conservative alternative, brings in a load of conservative donors, money into the party. Massive rise. Not winning any seats, but certainly causing enough ruckus. And then what happens? As soon as you leave, as soon as all that money gets, funneled out of the party, where's UKIP now? So do remember that. Of course, you may not like UKIP, but unfortunately, that message applies for any party that is running in our political system. So if you really want political change, as this does suggest, a massive change in this sort of, you've only got like, 23% say they feel close to the Tories, and only 29% say the same about Labour. And then you've got the trust barometer, which says that there's widespread disdain for politicians now. It's down to 27%, which is at its lowest level since 2016. And we've said it before, a lot of the votes for Brexit was by people who desperately wanted political change. And a lot of the Brexiteers didn't realize that's what they almost were selling to a point, but they didn't really want to deliver proper political change. This is why I've said, again, reforming the House of Lords, changing that to like a House of Regional Representatives would be massive political change for our current government as well. So this is possible, but people have to get out. They have to campaign. They have to be part of groups, political parties, and you have to push for change. You do not get anything if you stand outside the door and say nothing. You've got to get your foot in the door and start advocating for change, which is what I always advocate for. So that's my Sunday soapbox, I suppose, done for today. But as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. Please do remember to ring the bell as well so you get notification about the channel. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page, the Pony Club, the one-off donation called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button. And of course, as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.